I had somebody ask me recently about how do you exactly avoid burnout when you're studying a new language. This is completely new to you. If you're anything like I was back in the day when I first started studying Thai with comprehensible input, I found going through the series, listening for an hour a day, eventually it was difficult. I mean, you're not really used to sitting there, listen to hours and hours, or just say even 30 minutes every day for some people, I would say can be difficult for some people. Like your brain is just not used to studying in a foreign language. Even if you did book work before, I would say like the actual process of having your mind in real time use the language can be quite draining. I see a lot of people on Reddit, social media pages, they're saying like they're gonna spend 4, 8 hours, 12 hours, something crazy every freaking day. And there was a period of time for a few months I did six hours every single day of Thai. I use the comprehensible input channel, but there's definitely times that are much rougher than others. And I found out there's three things that I did, what I just want to recommend to other viewers, other people using comprehensible input methods, and or if you're studying Thai like me, three tips that I found out worked well for me in order to keep improving my level of Thai. And again, this was just recently asked by a comment in one of my videos, so this is a quick reply for anybody who may need to hear this. Number one is when you have this goal that you're going to really knock out learning this language. At first, it's exciting. I mean, when you start actually understanding the language that you're trying to learn and you start hearing stuff, like the language sounds completely different and it's like forever. And nobody really goes over this. If you ever like the sound of your target language because it sounded mysterious or unique, that's going to go away. As you get better in the language, that exotic factor, that factor that everything's new and everything's kind of exotic and, this fantasy language that you're learning, nobody talks about this, but as soon as you really start understanding, it doesn't sound exotic anymore. It's just like your native language. It gets kind of, not as exciting to learn. And that's why you have this initial push. You have all these hours. You're going to spend 6, 12 hours a day studying this language that is exotic for you. But eventually, if you set your goal up so high and you're doing that every single day, you're going to start falling behind. I mean, life happens. I have a daughter. I have a full-time job. I have other jobs and projects that I'm constantly working on. And if I just set myself up like, because I'm excited that I'm going to be studying 6 hours, 12 hours a day, a lot of stuff will start either getting neglected and things that you have to do with your family, your friends, your job, obviously because you're not working as much. But eventually something's going to get in the way of your studying and you're going to get this negative reinforcement where like, I have to get this done. You're going to start adding all this pressure. It's the actual pressure that you feel like I have to get 6 hours a day, and you're going to stay up long nights. You're going to put off hanging out with friends. You're going to put off potential investments or things that you can be doing besides learning Thai or any other language through comprehensible input. And that's going to catch up to some people, and you're going to start feeling that feeling of burnout because your obligation to the language is so high. Unless you're a diplomat and unless you are somebody who absolutely needs to speak this language immediately, just lower the bar. I found out that helps me a lot. Even the time when I'm doing like 3 to 4 hours a day, I just tell myself like, look, I just got to get 1 hour. And if I have extra time to spare, I would keep adding in Thai naturally and not having that pressure, not having the negative feeling that it has to be done. And again, as you're progressing in the language, it's going to be less motivating. That motivation factor is going to start slowly going away. And nobody really talks about this, but again, as the language becomes more normalized in your brain, that exotic factor starts wearing off and that obligation starts feeling heavy. Just imagine if you got this brand new car and it's this nice car that you always wanted, an SUV, sports car, Lamborghini, whatever, right? And the first month is great because it's new, it's exciting, you're revving the engine, you're going places, everybody's telling you have a nice car. And then the first month comes around, everything's fine. The second month you have your first huge car payment and you're like, okay, I'm starting to feel like the car payment now. And then the next month comes along and you're getting used to the car. It's your everyday car and you get this other car payment and you're like, am I really getting my money's worth from this car payment, from this exciting car? All my friends already told me about the car. It's not exciting anymore. And then the third month, something breaks. And now because this is exotic, unique car, you have to put in a lot more effort to fix it, a lot more money to fix it. And it just starts wearing on you. You're putting your standard... And it just starts wearing on you where you put the obligation of so high, say from this car payment, where you're not able to really enjoy the car as much, rather than you just had a cheaper car that you only pay like $100 a month and you just get enjoyment of revving the crap out of it, pushing it to its limits, where you don't feel the obligation effect. That's the best, that is the best thinking I could think about how to describe this, because the exotic factor of this language is going to be decreasing as your obligation is so high. The second recommendation I have is, as soon as you can, and this is going to be a major plus, if you're planning on spending 2, 3, 5 years studying this language, you need to start finding native content that you actually enjoy. So one benefit I have of studying Thai, there's quite a few Thai YouTubers that I think are absolutely amazing and I enjoy watching their videos. And when I start feeling that I don't want to do the comprehensible input channel any longer, especially towards the 500-hour mark, it's getting grueling. But something that kept me going is just watching native YouTubers that I saw in the beginning of my journey where I couldn't understand nothing. I didn't understand one word they were talking about in the car. I couldn't understand a single interview. I was completely lost. The language was still exotic. And I still remember where these YouTubers now are actually understandable. And if you follow my playlist, I put a playlist of what I'm watching every single day. I'll put it in the description box below if you want to follow along if you're studying Thai as well. But I'm able to actually understand the video, ask them questions and whatnot, and they reply back to me, and that's a huge motivation factor. And if you're entertained and still integrating the language into your life, you're not just abandoning the language. This is really important. That's going to go into number 3, where I'm able to consume native content. Even if my comprehension drops, I'm still engaged with the language. I'm not walking away from the language, and it's something exciting. It gets another motivation factor for me. I think it's really huge. Like, there's some Thai YouTubers, I'm not going to put their names on here right now, but literally I knew nothing of what they're saying, and now I'm able to actually understand what they're talking about. They're guest speakers, putting things together, and that's a huge motivation factor. And like travel videos, seeing new things, because there's only so much you can do. Just, I don't know, every comprehensible input channel is different, but a lot of the Thai ones, they're just kind of sitting inside and you're watching the same 2 teachers for like 3-4 hours every freaking day for like a year. Come on, just please go outside. This is why sometimes I like to make videos in different environments to give you visual stimulation. Things are completely different at times. And I think that's really important. Just keep things engaged and fresh with the language. Now, number 3, no matter what you do, This is probably the biggest, actually the biggest thing here, is that don't take these breaks away from the language. If you start feeling burnout, decrease the amount of time you're spent studying the language, and do number two, increase the amount of time you're spent enjoying the language. If you can't do this, if you can't decrease and increase the amount of enjoyment and decrease the amount of studying because you don't like native content, because you don't like engaging with the language, this is when you walk away from the language. I personally have walked away from a few languages where, as I dug into the culture, the native contents on YouTube, as I actually understood what people are talking about and interacting with people, I've walked away from languages before. And this is the point where you realize that language is not for you. You probably aren't the person that should be studying this language, no matter how much you think you should. If you don't enjoy native content, you don't enjoy watching stuff in the language, you don't have any idea of how you're going to even use this language. Some people are like that on Reddit. That's when you walk away. Because number three, I've seen people talk about, I've taken 3-4 months off on a language, and I think that's absolutely insane. I've met quite a few language learners who are pretty successful in like one or two other languages, and I've never heard one of them like, I took a year or two off from studying this language. It's like, you really, I said this in another video, you really need focus for a long period of time, no matter if you're doing 15-20 minutes every day for 10 years, or that concentration, you're doing 5 or 6 hours for like 2 years. You have to have time consecutively. It doesn't matter, but it has to be like every day without fail, at least something to do with the language. And I saw this Reddit post the other day, and it's like, I've been studying, I think it was like Korean, and they were like, I studied Korean for about 3 years, but I keep taking 2 months, and last year I took a 9-month break. Like, have you really been studying Korean for 3 years? And how much you're just walking away from, to regroup, to walk away from. Your brain knows when things are important to you and not important. And when you walk away from something completely, you're not even spending 5 or 10 minutes, it's going to forget so much. And when you're dealing with these difficult languages, I'm not talking about, like Spanish, French, like for English learners like myself, when you're dealing with a difficult language, say like Thai, Chinese, Korean, you need to have dedication if you're going to get to a higher level. If you want to stay down here where you post pictures of your textbook, you post pictures of you studying the language, you can possibly do that. I see other YouTubers where they post like pictures like, these are my study notes, I've learned these 5 words today, and then they post, I'm studying this language now, I'm gonna go back to Thai maybe in 3 to 5 months, and they're never at a level, and they're not making it a solid part of their life. It's great for content. If you're into content like that, that's great. That's for, a few people right there. But if you're into really getting good at languages, I don't see anybody taking 9 months off every other year and becoming like that guy where people are like, God, his language abilities are good. This is probably, it's going to destroy your motivation, because you're going to start back probably near a false beginner stage where you might understand certain words, but that concept of grammar, if somebody's speaking to you, that's gone. The concept of a larger vocabulary that's outside of like, I'm touching something, that's gone, and colors and numbers and stuff like that. But if you're thinking about like, this is very interesting, this is difficult, that stuff will start fading. The more abstract it is, quicker than anything. And that's the problem, because what sets a higher level like learner from somebody who's just like a beginner is going to be those words that are more abstract and more critical ways of thinking in the language. Side note, I was actually like, I'm always looking for other Thai YouTubers. There's a girl who was born and raised in Thailand, moved to the United States during her high school years, and that's when she switched to primarily just English. And she actually posted a video in Thai talking about her work for people in Thailand if they're interested in it. And I messaged her on the actual YouTube video. I was like, hey, like, were you born and raised in America? Because I actually thought she was a second generation Thai speaker. Like, she learned like heritage learner or something like that. But she hasn't used Thai I guess in a while, not at least in the professional level. And her grammatical structure, her expressions, those were so far, lower than I expected from a native speaker, just because she's not used to using the language. And that's coming from somebody who is a native speaker, who spent, so she did high school, college, and professional. I mean, we're probably looking at about 10 to 12 years of not really using Thai. Her language abilities dropped that dramatically. What do you think is going to happen to you if you're a person who casually learns Korean every 3 months for like, a month or so, then give us up for 9 months? It's not going to be at a level that you're going to be like impressed with. Remember, languages are great if you know just a few phrases. It can never hurt you. But to be somebody who's really integrated with society, to be somebody who is seen as an actual speaker of the language, eventually you have to get good at that language. You can always say, I want to eat this, I can order this. But when you're dealing with natives, that we're going to try to do in this channel, you need to sharpen that sword a little bit, where you can actually talk with them, integrate into their society, to understand their jokes, their meanings. I'm still getting surprised about stuff in Thai. The culture aspects of it and the idioms are completely different in English and Western ways of thinking, where this is going to take hours, a lot of time to understand. I can understand every single word in the sentence, but there's been a few times where I had to even ask my wife. Like, I repeat it back in Thai. I knew every single word in the sentence, had no idea what they're meaning, the actual meaning, because the cultural aspect of it from a Western mindset into a Thai mindset is different. And again, if I don't, but if I did start walking away from studying Thai, this is going to be much more difficult and take many, many more years to master this aspect of the language, rather than I just actually stay consistent through the years and knock this out. So thank you for leaving that comment. It's getting dark outside. I'm gonna get going back to my workout, and like and subscribe to the video if you want to see more language content from me. Take care.